Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast. A show where we discuss tips, tricks and tools to help all Guardians succeed and enjoy playing more. What makes us different? Well, we're not streamers or YouTubers. We just have a passion for Destiny and are dedicated to keeping Guardians informed and up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 news, information and opinions. We encourage your questions and feedback, and you can contact us either by email, twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com, or on Twitter at 2titans_hunter. Now, on with the show.
Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, presented by the next host of Britain's Got Talent, Night Demon. Assisting him is the third wheel that just can't take a hint, parody, and carried by the host with the most talent? Me! No one respawns in real life. And now, on with the show.
So, Parody, do you want to take us away with this week at Bungie?
This week at Bungie, things happened. Not many things happened, but a couple things happened. So this week at Bungie, Lord Saladin is watching you. He is standing over your shoulder, just to the left, breathing heavily as the wolves are sitting in the background scratching themselves, as the Iron Banner rages on. And once again, we're invited to test our mettle in the Crucible combat with power enabled. And the Iron Burden and the Wolf's Favor are both enabled this time around, which, to refresh your memory, Iron Burden drops your light level 100 points. Wolf's Favor brings your light level up 100 points to a max of 700. And if you're trying to get that lovely curated roll of the Wizened Rebuke, you're going to need 500 kills with the Iron Burden perk active. Remember, it's only active for about half an hour, so don't be like Night Demon and play, 30 or 40 kills without the burden active going, why didn't any of those count? Because time is hard.
Don't tell people things like that.
And as always, the Iron Banner bounties have an update with new objectives. Each bounty will grant a powerful reward. Also, if you're working through your Thorn quest or things like that, now's a great time to jump into the Crucible and Iron Banner because there's a ton of people in there. Also a great time to jump into comp because it's a little less compy because there's so many people running around with void hand cannons. I've been in a couple of shootouts with just people with void hand cannons who clearly don't know how to use them, me being one of them. And we were just sort of shooting at, near, and around each other until someone eventually died from exhaustion. Sometimes it's a war of attrition, sometimes it's a war of skill.
So I think what they're saying with the Thorn and the Recluse, saying that the progress is faster in Iron Banner rather than jumping into comp this week.
Is that an opinion or is that proven?
Excellent.
That's what they're trying to point out. No, that's proven. It's in the description on the quest that if you do that part of the quest in quick play, it will be slower, but if it's in Iron Banner and competitive, like the void hand cannon kills are the same as in competitive kind of thing. The point system. The secret point system that they hide, that they don't tell us, but it's the same, Iron Banner and competitive.
Right, where each kill counts some number in quick play and then some higher number in competitive and Iron Banner.
That's right.
And also, to clear up some confusion that people have been asking about, and I've seen some Reddit posts of, I've used 600 tokens to try to get my Wizened Rebuke. The Wizened Rebuke is not in the loot pool for this Iron Banner. Bungie has said it will be in the future, but right now it's not in the loot pool. The only way to get it to drop is to get your 500 kills with the Iron Burden active and get that curated roll. So don't go and spend, your 1,500 tokens with Saladin thinking you're going to get one to drop eventually. You're not.
Yeah, but after 600 tokens, just imagine the kind of armor sets and really good weapon drops that they've got at this point. You might not have the one you're looking for, but if you ain't got at least a couple good things by now, ooh.
Then your RNG is like mine.
So, okay, refreshing is the next part of the topic in the TWAB this week. So each Tuesday, Guardians look forward to a new set of objectives and challenges to complete in the world of Destiny 2. Rotating Crucible modes, new bounties to complete, and every so often a curse week in the Dreaming City. For some time now, we've been encountering issues where some of our resets would be catching a bad streak, preventing players from completing various triumphs or earning their desired titles. We've taken some time to address these issues and wanted to give you an update on the status. So they're updating Nightfalls. So this week, the Corrupted is available for the Forsaken owners to complete. If this is the last check mark on your Dreaming City seal, then you've got this week before the reset on April 2nd to complete that. So yeah, the Pulse Rifle is the reward that you can possibly get from the chest at the end from killing the Tech Witch. And that is one of the parts that you need for one of the seals. And it's a decent pulse rifle as well. It's similar archetype for the and the same as the Claws of the Wolf from Iron Banner. So it's the fast-firing Grasp of Malak style pulse rifle, and you can get some good rolls on it as well. What I'll do is I'll find a video, what rolls you can get on that and what's probably the best roll, and put that in the show notes. So moving forward, they say we'll be putting effort into preventing streaks where specific nightfalls appear multiple weeks in a row or don't appear for some months at all. And we'll be making sure that your experiences tackling strikes associated with the seals isn't feast or famine. So that's quite good that they're changing that up, because there's been a lot of people in the community saying that they're missing those specific items. Have you guys been worrying about that at all?
Not super worried about it, just because I've actually struggled to get through the Corrupted Nightfall for points. I've banged my head against that wall a couple times this week. We ran through it just, to get through once, but trying to get the points didn't quite work out in our favor. I think we may need to switch up our modifiers, but I'm also nowhere near any of these seals, so nor do I have most of the drops from any of these Nightfalls and Strikes that I've run countless times. So if it happens, it happens.
I'll run through it with you.
Yeah, at some point we can run through it. And I was just looking to try to see, because I know the Corrupted was one specifically called out by the community saying, hey, we haven't seen it in a while. It looks like, I've got a Reddit post I'll put in the show notes. It looks like it may have been about 10 weeks since it was in the Nightfall rotation, since about January, perhaps. So, again, January 8th, 10 weeks ago, is when they're saying the Nightfall was the Corrupted was last a Nightfall option. So, yeah, Bungie's trying to make some changes to make sure that doesn't happen again. You don't see these things that just never come up as you're waiting to try to get that one drop or grind through that one armor drop you're waiting for.
All you have to do is max out the level modifier, put on all negative attributes. You can look at the little multiplier, like when you add the negative attributes, and just stack the highest ones, but save the last one for heavy ammo or for I forgot what it's called, but you get more heavy ammo drops, and heavy ammo does more damage. So max out the level difference, put on the negative modifiers that give you the highest bonuses, and then just put the heavy ammo mod on there, and then you get a decently high score. You'll definitely get over 100k easily.
So moving on, Ada 1's weapon frames. While weapon frames aren't tied to specific seals, we understand that players are on the hunt for new and exciting rolls of their favourite weapons. Since Black Armory released, there have been a few streaks where sniper rifles or machine gun frames didn't appear for many weeks. And looking at you, Pulse Rifle, for the last couple of weeks, where have you been? In Destiny 2 Update 2.2.1, Ada 1 will begin to offer all frames each week. So while players will still be limited in a number of how many frames that they can acquire per week, and that's the powerful ones. So you'd still be able to get 2 powerful frames a week and then farm the others, but you'll have to just choose which ones you want. So if you wanted like the pulse rifle and the machine gun that week, those are the only 2 that would then be highlighted after you've selected those at the beginning of the week or whenever you pick them up. So they're going to remove the weekly rotation.
I don't get why they don't just put all 4. To me, that was always something that was stupid, right? Why limit us to just 2, right? We're going to grind 3 for the weapon that we want. Sorry.
They gave you a choice of 3 each week, but yes, you could only pick up 2.
Yeah, my bad. You're right. But they shouldn't limit us at all, right? The only limits that we should have is the exotic frames, right? Okay, only give us 2 of those a week, but we should have the choice to get all the non exotic frames. Just farm those as much as we want. It's like we still got to farm to get the roll that we want, or the exotic roll, right? So it's not like them stagnating it over weeks is really helping anything. It just makes people not want to play the game.
It started off as a good idea that you had to pick 2 of the 3, and I could see where they were going. But as soon as the Beguzia Forge and the Niobe Labs opened up, it should have just been, here's all the weapon frames. You can only still pick 2, but you can pick 2 weapon frames from all of the weapon frames. But, the change is coming, so it's something that they have thought about and they're going to implement, which is a good thing. So, like you were saying, if you are just looking for specific roles and you pick those 2 that week, you can always pick another 2 the next week, or the same 2, or whichever ones you want going forward after the patch goes live. So I don't see there's going to be an issue with that.
Yeah, and I think part of that too was, it's one thing when the Black Armory, that's your pinnacle activity, that's your end game activity, because that's the new drop. it's one thing to say, let's limit you a little bit so we don't have everyone, i.e. streamers and folks who play 80 hours a day, running out and saying, I've gotten all the weapons, here they are, day one. Drip that content out a little bit because that's your new content for the next couple months. And now that we've moved on to new stuff after that, lessen those things. Or if you want to grind for that, let me just go grind for that. So hopefully that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So they say, as Destiny 2 continues to evolve through the annual pass and beyond, we'll continue to deliver quality of life changes like these ones described above, which is the Nightfalls and the 81 weapon frames, to address common feedback items. Some changes may come quicker than others, but we'll continue to deploy updates to provide a better player experience. Speaking of these changes, read on for a quick preview of our next update. So who'd like to take us through the Destiny 2 Update 2.2.1 preview? Hold on.
I can do that if you want me to, but I just want to say something about the quality of life changes.
Okay.
How long have we been waiting for them to let us delete stacks of
shaders, mods, emblems, weapons, glimmer?
Thank you. Yes. How long have we been waiting for them to let us delete stacks of shaders? Right. So, I mean,
you can do 5 at a time now with Rahul.
Still,
I mean, it's still 5 at a time. Doesn't help you when you have 800 Atlantis washes or something, but
exactly,
it's at least something.
Like how hard is it to implement a hold down left stick or hold down right stick? Because neither one of those are used right in your menu, right? So hold down left stick or hold down right stick to delete a stack. You see what I'm saying? It's not that difficult to implement. You can still hold the X to delete individuals.
You say that it's not that difficult, but it obviously is that difficult.
What?
Otherwise they would have done it.
It's not that difficult. As a programmer, I can tell you, all they would have to do is implement a function for that new keybind, right? And in that function, have it delete an entire stack of whatever's highlighted. And then the only other thing they'd have to do is calculate how many glimmer and or legendary shards would have been gotten from that stack if done individually, add it all up and give it to the player. It's not that difficult from a programming standpoint. It really isn't. I just don't know why they haven't done it yet.
Because something inexplicable will have broken if they do that. Because when Bungie fixes one thing, 2 more things break.
Okay, I get that, and it's a funny ongoing joke, but realistically speaking, the actual implementation of something like that really isn't difficult. Here they are developing entire new DLCs, bringing back old, weapons. Spoiler alert, some of the old exotic swords from D1 is coming back, right? They can do all that, but they can't implement a simple keybind that deletes a stack of whatever you have highlighted in your shaders.
I do believe there is a forum that you can raise this concern with.
Anyway, so on to the Destiny Update 2.2.1 preview. Tentatively planned for April 9th, Destiny 2 Update 2.2.1 will bring a variety of quality of life changes and bug fixes. Below is a short list of topics that we commonly see in the wild. Note, if any issues are found in the final weeks of development, the following may change or be delayed. We'll be sure to keep you updated on statuses as we get closer to the release. Now, the first thing on the list is Dreaming City cosmetics. The drop rates for the Ghost, the Ship, and the Sparrow have been doubled, tripled, or even more, depending on their respective activities. 1,000 voices. Yes, this will continue to be rare. Don't get too excited. But the developers have stated that they've tuned the drop weights to give slightly better chances than what are currently available. What does that mean? I have no idea. Because it used to be they would only spawn in 2 chests. So now they're going to spawn in 3, 4, 5? Did they change how they spawn? Is it still just a randomly generated spawn no matter what chest you get? Because I always thought it was pre-selected, right? They pre-select the 2 chests, and those 2 chests only are going to have the 1,000 voices in them, right? Because that's what I heard like forever ago. So what do? They just put it in more chests? Or have they changed how they actually drop? Is it a chance to drop it from any of the chests? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. There's also an increased drop rates for various lore books. Some of these examples are the Cade's Stash lore books, Dreaming City lore books, and Tangled Shore lore books. Also, Invitations of the Nine. I don't know why I said also after that, because there was clearly 4 there, but apparently I can't read today. Currently, players must complete an Invitation of the Nine by Tuesday reset in order to have a new invitation appear by Friday. After Update 2.2.1, players have through Thursday's reset at 10 a.m. to complete the invitation. Okay, so this is part of the last one then. All right, okay, so Nightfall Power Handicap.
So in Season of the Drifter, the Five of Swords was added. You had to put it to a handicap of 100 plus. So what they're saying is in the new update, there's gonna be a button you can push to go up in increments of plus 25 rather than go up individually at 1 to all the way up to 100.
I wonder how long it would take them to increment a button that'll allow you to delete 25 stacks of shaders at a time.
Told you, stop shouting. I know we just joked about that, but the Nightfall Power Handicap. So on your Five of Swords card, you have to put it at a maximum of 100 to get to the level that it is currently at the moment for your light to be. So what they're going to do is they're going to add a no button to just go up in increments of plus 25 and a max handicap button. So you can just hit that and it'll take you up to the max handicap, which I think is something like, I don't actually know at this point because I haven't actually put it up to the max. I can't be bothered to go up more than 120 or 130 like minus. You know what I mean? I do the minimum that I can get, the 100,000 Nightfall score, and that's it. So yeah, there'll be 2 buttons.
Right, but it goes back to what we were talking about, right? They can implement this, right? But they can't implement the same functionality to allow you to delete 25 stacks or maybe an entire stack of shaders. But they can change the Five of Swords, which affects a lot more than just...
Well, obviously, there are a lot more people that are upset about that than the shader thing.
No, that is false,
Yes.
okay? That is 100% a lie,
You do not
okay?
count for 100 people.
There are a number of people in the Reddit forums yelling about the shaders, and
Don't fuel him. Don't fuel him.
And for the sake of science, the max handicapped as of right now on Saturday, March 30th at 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time, the max handicap you can get is a 5x score multiplier, and that power handicap is 210 on your Five of Swords card.
There you
go. Okay. Destiny Update 2.2.1 will also kick off Arc Week. Be sure to check back next week for information on how we'll be celebrating Arc Energy in Season of the Drifter.
Did we ever really stop celebrating Arc Energy, though? Honestly, I celebrate Arc Energy every day.
I mean, it's the best energy ever. Yeah, for real, right?
I just wanted to point out as well, with the extra drop rates that are going live in Update 2.2.1, next week is a full curse week. Don't expect to jump into the Shattered Throne and get these bumped up drop rates because the 2.2.1 doesn't go live until the following week. I think it's the 9th of April, isn't it? I believe it goes live with Arc Week.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm. So don't jump into the Shattered Throne next week and expect that you're going to get the drop. You'll have to wait until the next reset of the Shattered Throne to get those extra drop rates. So there are security updates for Destiny 2, and members of the security team are responding to people that have been basically cheating with aimbots and macros and plugins. Basically on PC, don't do that. You won't get banned. You won't have to be on the forums moaning that you've been banned. Just don't do it. Play the game properly. Don't try and, mess up other people's games with DDoSing and stuff like that, because you're just going to get banned and it's going to upset everybody, and the PC base is really thin as it is. Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up. Yeah, if you're on PC, play legit, play fair. Don't use things that are going to make you better than you already are.
Or you get banned.
Exactly. And don't credit Bungie when you get banned for cheating. Then you have to go play another game and cry about that.
So, do you want to do time for Prime, Parody?
Time for Prime. So 2 weeks ago.
All right. I had to do it. Sorry, my bad.
We have a soundboard for that. Come on, get it together.
You shut up. I wanted to do it for me. All right. I needed to do it. Okay. My life would not have been complete if you mentioned Gambit and didn't do that. Right?
All right. Well, let me read Time for Prime again, then you do that so we have a clean recording of it. Time for Prime.
All right.
So 2 weeks ago, we made some adjustments to the Gambit matchmaking to help even the playing field. And to give a refresh of what the change was, here's some context from a previous edition of This Week at Bungie.
Let's see what we've got.
We've got a Gambit, which is a team-based activity. As such, players who are in a pre-made fire team have a communication advantage. To offset that advantage, we've raised the internal skill ranking of pre-made fire teams, putting higher skill players against them. So if you're running in a fire team they're going to put players that are, individually better against your fire team because you have the communication advantage. After modifying the normal Gambit settings to create fairer matches, we reevaluated settings and further tweaks to get them even fairer, hopefully. We also now have had a chance to collect data on Gambit Prime and are applying those changes to the Prime matchmaking to take advantage of our findings. These changes are now live. If you encounter any issues, go yell at them with the Bungie help forum, but don't yell at them. Give them feedback, give them calm feedback, because they're not going to listen to you if you're screaming at them. If you say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, maybe here's some video, here's some screenshots to support it, they'll actually take your reports way more seriously than if you go in respawn style and just scream at them.
That explains why the shader thing hasn't been a thing yet.
Exactly. So they don't actually say what their tweaking is, but they've made some tweaks. We have top men working on this. Top men and women and androids. So they've made a change.
I don't think I've actually played.
Yeah, it's Iron Banner week. We'll go back to Gambit Prime next week. But yeah, I don't think I've actually touched it this week. I mean, again, last week when they put the changes in, again, I was seeing a lot. I was seeing less. If I'm in a group, they're in a group. If I'm not in a group, they're not in a group things. But I also don't tend to run a lot of Gambit in groups. I've run a bunch of Iron Banner this week in groups, and that's been interesting because we've run some 3, 4, and 6 stacks. Now again, it's a Frozen Clan stack, so it's not really a stack so much as more of a pile of mediocrity. But I noticed when we were running, larger fire teams in Iron Banner this week, we weren't seeing a whole lot of groups against us. I think 2, maybe 3 was the highest we were seeing, even when we were running in 6s. I'm sure there's people running Iron Banner in 6s out there. Maybe just not what we were. I don't know. Of course, this is all Gambit related, so who knows what they've done. It's interesting, too, trying to keep up with all the different tweaks they've made to the different matchmakings through this game between Iron Banner and Crucible and Comp and Quick Play and Gambit Prime and this and that. And I don't know how they're matching us with anybody. I'm just glad that they are. I'm glad we're on Xbox and there's enough people to match us with, so we're not sitting in orbit for 25 minutes like the PC folks waiting for people to play with.
I would just like to say a big thank you to my team because we managed to get the Gone to Ground trophy from the Iron Banner. So that was Survivor Hunt.
Yeah,
when
we started that yesterday.
And then start the next hunt. So shout out to the Frozen Clan for that.
Which we somehow managed to do. I don't know how.
I don't know how we did that.
Well, it's because you had me and freaking oh my god,
ODST Mayhem, our hunter ringers.
Yes,
see,
but you're forgetting the 2 Titans here that go running in and just punch things.
Exactly,
and we managed to avoid people.
We soften them up. You finish them off.
Hold on, no. Let's get this right. Okay, first of all, everybody listening, that is in fact not what happened. What was actually happening is the 2 hunters carried every single game while all the Titans sat at the bottom of the playlist, right?
No. That's not what happened.
To be fair, both Titans were iron burdened and 100 light levels lower, so we were softening some targets, but we couldn't always finish them.
I wasn't even max light level to be able to use the damn thing yet.
Geez. You can use it.
No. Anyway, point is, 2 hunters carried the entire game while the Titans were trying to keep up. That's what actually happened.
So say you.
So say that.
Moving on.
What?
Moving on.
No. We're not moving on.
Either way, this was a team accomplishment because it takes the entire team to get to hunt the other wolves twice in a row. So
yeah, but it just takes 2 hunters to kill the whole team, the opposite team.
But I'm going to move on because whatever you say after this bit, it's going to be
and 2 hunters to capture all 3 points to start the next hunt. No, you need at least a 3rd hunter.
I just want to point out how you said a 3rd hunter.
Which you didn't have, so you had to rely on a Titan or a Warlock and slum it.
No, he had Frosty.
Ah, good point. 3 hunters, 2 Titans, and a Warlock. That's all you need to destroy the other team. Or
somehow managed to scrape that achievement.
Right? Hey, you just have to do it once. You don't have to be good often, just once.
So, moving on. Saladin's Pride. This week, we kicked off the first Iron Banner for the Season of the Drifter. Unlike other activities, which may require Destiny 2 Forsaken or the annual pass ownership, Iron Banner is available to all Guardians of Destiny 2 who wish to test their mettle. So last week, they highlighted some key differences in this season's Iron Banner's experience. So for players joining us in progress, we've got a convenient summary for you. So they go on to say what they've done with the changes in Season of the Drifter with the Iron Burden and the Wolf's Favour. So if you're not familiar, The Iron Burden is a consumable that you can purchase directly from Lord Saladin. I believe it is 5 Iron Banner tokens, and it reduces your power by 100 light in playlist. What that does is if you're like me at this moment, 700, it will knock me down to 600 whilst I'm in that playlist. And there's been a few problems with this, because if you're going against somebody that is lower than you, so say I was going versing somebody that was 690 and they had the Iron Burden and that took them down to 590, if I defeat them, I don't get any points for it, but if they defeated me, they would get points for it, because it states on the triumph for the Wizened Rebuke, which you can get as a curated role from doing the...
Yeah, it's the Atlas Unbound Triumph, which says, while influenced by the Iron Burden, land final blows on your opponents who have a higher power level than you. So it has to be final blows, and they have to be a higher power level than you with the Iron Burden active.
So that's basically what I was trying to point out, is that it has to be somebody that is higher than you whilst you've got the Iron Burden. So if you're running against people that are lower than you with the Iron Burden, while they've got the Iron Burden active, you're going to have to lower your light even further. As long as you get that final blow on that person, it will count. If you don't get the final blow, it doesn't count. So you could be doing like what me and Parody were doing, shooting. Respawn comes in and gets the final hit, takes the kill, and you're down one person.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know what this down one person nonsense is, because myself and the other hunter had the highest efficiency, which means we died
on
less
your
than
kills.
you did as well, right? So if by we're down one person, you mean the Titans were killed, then yes, that's accurate.
He means you're down one person on your road to 500 kills.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need 500 kills to get the gun to drop.
Yes,
and that's one less final blow you've been able to deal to get
I just thought you were trying to make yourself feel better by putting those down that are better than you, and I wasn't gonna let that slide.
No. So the Wolf's Favor. This is a consumable that increases the player's power by 100 up to the player cap of 700 in Iron Banner, and it can be earned in daily and weekly challenges. So if you've done a Nightfall, it could possibly drop from that. If you've done daily strike mission, it can drop from that. It can drop any of the powerful rewards that you can get. It will drop with the engram that you get. So I did do the test of putting the Iron Burden on and then putting a Wolf's Favor on, and what it basically does, the Wolf's Favor will knock the Iron Burden off your character, and then if you try and put another Iron Burden on, it then just takes your power level back down, so you can't stack or cheat the system basically. So it's actually something that Bungie have thought of this time. So the Weight of Guilt, this is the emblem that you can get from completing all of the 7 Iron Banner bounties on one character, and it tracks your higher power opponents defeated whilst under the effects of the Iron Burden. Bungie are aware there is an issue where players are unable to claim the Iron Banner Weight of Guilt emblem from Lord Saladin after completing all the Iron Banner bounties. It says the players must also have 40 Iron Banner tokens to purchase this emblem. So just make sure that you're aware of that. And if you are having an issue, then head on over to the forums. We'll link a forum link in the notes, and you can vent your frustrations there. But I'm guessing that they'll probably have fixed this by the time the next Iron Banner rolls around, because they're saying that you don't have to do the Wizened Rebuke in just this one Iron Banner.
There is a message for you.
2 Titans and a Hunter have been brought to you by Do Not Disturb this week.
Away. So, all the Iron Banner bounties will now grant powerful rewards upon completion, as well as unlocking direct purchase rewards from Lord Saladin. So he has 7 items that you can purchase. If you go to him, each one corresponds to a different bounty. So as long as you've unlocked those, you'll be able to then purchase them directly from him. They are also aware that the Iron Ruby Iron Banner shader for this season is not dropping for any players, and they're going to probably sort that out by the next Iron Banner. And they have an Iron Banner guide, apparently, and they say players should visit our Iron Banner guide. So I'll link that in the show notes, because that's quite interesting. I didn't realise there was a guide to playing Iron Banner.
I didn't know that. And yeah, I was just going to say, I haven't seen any emblems or any Iron Banner shaders drop. Not that it wouldn't go right in the trash anyway, but Iron Banner Ruby, that sounds like it might be the right color scheme if it ever drops for us.
So the next thing is Hot Topics Part 2. This week, we're continuing our discussions on weapons and armor with the big issue of vault space hindering some players. You know, I've actually put some thought to this, right? Once upon a time, I had to make a game for one of my programming classes, and it was kind of like a chess game, right? And you had 2 dimensions. You know, you have your up and your down and your left and your right, which is basically how our vault is set up. You're up, down, left, right, right? And we have multiple pages. But you know how many vault issues they could solve by just putting in a 3rd dimension? What I mean by that is, let's say you have a Wizened Rebuke, right? Let's just say you have like 10 of those, right? Instead of 10 of those, because they all have different roles, right? Taking up different slots, why don't you have a 3rd dimension kind of going behind them, right? So you click on the Wizened Rebuke, it opens up another page with multiple Wizened Rebukes, you see? So you can just pick the one that you want. And then whenever you, let's say, click B, it collapses it back down into the one space that it's taken up in the vault. You see? It's a stack like shaders, but you can actually open the stack to view everything that's within that stack, as long as it's the exact same weapon, right? And when it comes to armor, all of the, let's say, Iron Banner Hunter helmets would all be in one stack. All of the Warlock Iron Banner helmets would be in their own separate stack. So even though they're both Iron Banner helmets, they each get their own stack because they're for different characters, right? So if you just created, instead of just having it like a 2D grid, you added a 3rd D behind it, a 3rd D, you added another dimension behind that, right? And then just open it up so that each weapon and armor piece gets its own stack. That way you can have multiple stacks of weapons and armors without it taking up a bunch of vault space, you know?
So a bit like what they've got now with the collections, that you can go back into the collections, but you're saying that if it has, it's a weapon or an armor piece with a multiple role on it, you'd be there to then go in and pick out that specific role.
Yeah, within the vault. You wouldn't have to go to your collections.
Okay.
Right? You just open the vault, and let's say, like I said, you have a Wizened Rebuke. You click on that weapon, right? And instead of it putting it into your inventory, it opens the quote-unquote Wizened Rebuke page. And you see all the Wizened Rebukes that you've obtained. Not all the ones in the game, obviously, but all the ones that you've obtained, and you get to pick and choose which one you want to pull into your inventory from that point. Push B to collapse the stack, and then you get back to your regular vault.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Yeah.
So we've now realised what they could do, but let's talk about what they haven't done. You know, I don't understand why they haven't been able to do something like that, because that would be perfect, because they're saying that with the collections that you can't pull something out in this season or the past couple of seasons because it has the multiple roles on it, and that's causing an issue. So you can only get what you've got. Whereas if it's an old weapon with a fixed roll and a fixed burn on it, that can be pulled from the collections. You don't have to worry about it. But then,
with the exception of exotic armor pieces, what they do is the first exotic armor piece you get, that roll is then dedicated to your vault or to your.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I've done that before. Like there's been because right now, for example, I have a Titan headpiece, right? A Titan helmet, the God roll that came out for punching, right? Remember that when Zer was selling it? I got that, right? And one day I was thinking about deleting it because I needed legendary shards for something.
Right.
And then I was like, wait, before I do that, let me look in my vault. And I looked in the vault, and it had a roll from a previous helmet that I had in my vault. So it didn't have the newest roll that I had. It had like the very first roll I ever got on that helmet. You see what I'm saying? So I can't prove it to be 100%, but at least in my case, whenever I look inside my, not my vault, my, oh God, what's it called? The damn
Collections.
Thank you. When you go in the collections, I've noticed that it has the rolls from the very first time that I got them. Right now, I'm not saying from like year one. I'm saying
I think it's just a fixed roll in the vault, not in the vault, in the collections.
It's possible. That's entirely possible. I might just have that inside my vault as that fixed roll and don't put 2 and 2 together. But what I do know is when you get new rolls, that is not committed to the vault. And, you know, that's a little kind of right? So, I mean, yes, you can lock your armor to prevent, you know, from deleting it like hey, I want this because it's a god roll. Don't delete it. Yes, you can lock it, and I get that. But why can't they implement something similar for the newer weapons, right? Oh, you can't get this out of collections, which is the whole point of the collections, right?
Yeah.
You can't get this out of collections because it's got a random roll. Okay, why not give me a random roll? Right?
But what I don't understand from the collections is you're getting all these new curated rolls from Prime and other places. You can't re-pull those out of your collection. And I don't understand that. If it's a curated roll, it's a fixed roll. Why is that then not available for
I asked that same question. That is a great question. Great question.
Because
I don't know why they don't do that.
Those things that I'm holding in my vault that I'm not using at the moment that are precious, with these curated rolls, I don't really want to use them, but I want to keep them just in case. Why can't I get those out of my collections later? Because I can't.
With the exception of weapons that only come curated, right?
Yeah.
So those you can pull out as they are, but anything else you can't.
No, but you can't. You can't pull out a curated roll.
No, if it's like if it's a roll that only comes curated, like the horror story, right?
Yeah,
you can pull out a horror.
Oh no, that's fine. Horror story is fine because that's a specific thing from a specific
because it only comes as being curated. That's what I'm saying. You can pull those out.
But what I'm saying is, if you wanted to go and pull out a vouchsafe, or you wanted to pull out one of these new weapons, the bug out bag, out of your collection, you can't do that, even if you've had the curated roll drop.
Yeah, I do think that's a little bit silly.
There are, honestly, like you were saying, with the horror story, you can pull out, and I think you can also pull the bow that we got out from the Crimson Days.
And you're also addressing a problem I have when I go to look at my collections, and then there's nothing though to tell me like which of these guns can I actually pull out. I wish there was a little icon that say, hey, this is in your collection. You found one of these, guns somewhere, but I can't pull one out. So I'll go say, oh, let me just pull one of these out of my vault. Can't do that. You had one at some point, you threw it away or lost it. I wish it would tell me which things on my collections are actually collectible and which ones are just there as a trophy wall to say, you had one of these ones. Should have kept it, stupid.
Or separate them entirely. What you're saying is a good point, right? But if I can't pull it out of the collections, it shouldn't be in the collections. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the collections, Bungie's big thing is like, hey, you can pull your weapons out of collections. Except the new ones you can't. So do they really belong in the collection? Shouldn't they go in their own sort of achievement book?
Trophy, moment of triumph, trophy collection, trophy wall, whatever you call it.
Yeah, something.
And I think it's probably one of those holdovers from we had no random rolls. And, so if you had no random rolls, you pull one out, it's going to be, that Better Devils, that, Bygones, it's going to be the same Bygones you pulled out from your collection every single time. Now that we have the random rolls back, they never went back and said, okay, well, now you have this collection set up for whatever probably the initial roll of that gun was in the game, but now there's random rolls on those guns, so we never accounted for those being acquirable through the collections because they weren't when we started.
Yeah, I was going to say the issue that I have from last week's discussion on the enhanced weapons and enhanced armor that we were talking about. I just wanted to point out a mistake that we made, and it was brought to our attention by the Booker Man on Twitter. He said that you can get enhanced stuff on Gambit Prime armor as well. So shout out to him. Thank you very much for letting us know. But with that, moving into that, you've got 4 pieces of armor from Gambit Prime that you can now acquire for your specific roles. You've got 3 characters. That's a hell of a lot of armor to put in your vault. And if you're already carrying around all the weapons that you want to keep and all the other armor pieces that you want to keep, that's a big chunk of your vault that's going to be taken up.
We're beating a dead horse, right, at this point, because this has been a pre-existing issue since D1.
Yes, but they should have seen this coming with now.
I know they should have. Of course they should have.
Because you've got this new armor and this whole update or season pass, this specific point for Gambit Prime, centers around getting those armor pieces.
Everything in the game does. Everything in the game does, though.
What I wish Bungie would have done, because we have these 2 competing ideas of step 1, here's a different here's 3 separate sets of armor. In the Moments of Triumph thing, here's 3 sets of armor you can have. Gambit Prime again. Here's 3 sets of armor you can have. I wish they would go with the ornament method and only make it more powerful. Like, you go do tier 1 reckoning. You get, you can get your tier 1 reckoning Gambit Prime armor. Now you go do tier 2. Instead of a new armor piece, give me, call them ornaments, call them add-ons, call them whatever you want to call them. But, give me something I can, clip into that armor and say, okay, my tier 1 armor is now tier 2 because I've done the tier 2 thing and got the tier 2, plugin for it, for lack of a better term. Instead of having different armor sets the entire time.
Yeah, but I think their assumption is once you get the tier 2,
right, which is definitely their assumption. Yeah, that's definitely their assumption. But you have all these people who are going to play the game as collectors who want to collect every last little thing and have it. Like a certain someone I know that farmed a certain witch in Destiny 1 for 1 trillion different pulse rifles because he needed one for every day, every weather condition, every mood he was in. I can't remember what that gun was called now.
Grasp of Malak.
Yes, the Grasp of Malak. Someone had, 30 or 40 grasps laying around because you need one for every moment. And that's, and that's the way you want to play the game. You should be able to play. It's a looter shooter. You want me to loot? You want me to shoot? Let me keep the loot that I shoot for.
Yeah.
If I can't, then what's the point of grinding for all this stuff if, it's not, I can't keep it anyway. Not only can I not use it, I can't even keep it. I can't even have access to it. And I've worked hard for it. And God knows this game with its random rolls and its RNG, you have worked hard.
Yeah. I mean, and God knows, right? Because they need money, right? Obviously, they've split up from Activision. They need money, right? So what if? And this is going to be a bad idea. We're going to get flack from it. I know, but it's a solution. It might not be the best solution, but it is a solution, right? So you know how you can buy packages from the chick that shall not be named, right? So what if, in order to gain income, right? They keep the vault space as it is, right? They give us a ton of vault space and it lasted us for a week, right? And then we ran out. But like, how some of those retarded cell phone games, they give you a certain number of slots for characters and items and things like that, right? What if, as part of their package deal, say, hey, for, I don't know, you could use in-game currency, you can use real money, fill in the blank, right? But you could purchase in one way, shape, or form more vault space, right? So because everybody, maybe other people don't need all this extra vault, right? But some of us do. So we should have the option in one way, shape, or form to be able to purchase more vault space. Maybe legendary shards, maybe enhancement cores, maybe real money. Who knows, right? But there should be something in place that will allow those that need the extra vault space to purchase it. And if they made it for real money, which again, I know people are going to freak out about, that would also generate income.
I see your point.
For the company.
I do see your point.
Right?
And it probably would be something I'd be interested in doing because of what I like to collect. But the game shouldn't have just been limited to the amount of space that we had. I believe that we only had, 100 spaces to start off with in the year 1? And now we have 500. And I think when it got to the point of changing over, I'd had my Postmaster completely stacked. I'd had my Vault completely stacked. I have 3 characters that was... I had 2 of the characters that had 10 items in every single slot. And when that Vault space opened up, I was then able to transfer and go, and just think,
Right? And I believe in order to prevent them from being like super scummy, every update they have, every build onto the game, right? They should add X number of vault space to accommodate for weapons, right? Let's say they have to have a minimum of 1 slot for every weapon and armor piece in the game, minimum, right? If they come out with new weapons, they need to give you vault space to accommodate for each one of those new weapons or each one of those new armor pieces. Now, this is where it comes in. If you want to have multiple armor pieces of the same type or multiple weapons with different roles, at that point, you could choose in one way, shape, or form to go out and earn more vault space. Like I said, legendary shards, enhancement cores, silver, whatever, right? They should accommodate the very minimum amount of space, and then you can build on from there. That's what I think they should do. And if they did that, that would, I don't want to say revolutionize the game, but in my opinion, that's how I would see it.
I've just worked it out. So if you had 1 piece of armor for every role as a tier 3, let's say a tier 3 now, for Gambit Prime, that's 60 armor pieces. Now that's if you've got the perfect role on each, set that you want to build. Let's face it, people will want to change up their subclass, will want to change up their weapons. with new weapons coming in. There'll be the new hotness. So they'll want a specific armor piece to do that, or maybe you just want to rely, on different things to do within that specific role. So 60 as a minimum. You've then got 121 exotic items or 121 exotic armor pieces and weapons. So that's 180 things that if you've got all of them, are in your vault. And then you add the guns that you can then collect and the different rolls on weapons and different rolls on armor pieces. And like me, my vault is completely chocker. I mean, I've got like 3 Ursa Furiosas, and each one has a different gun or a different build on it, depending on where I'm going. If I'm going into Crucible, if I'm going into a Strike or a Nightfall, they're different things. And I think that you should have a vast amount of vault space for free, and it should be unlimited, because if I'm getting those exotic drops, I want to keep those.
It can't be unlimited. It can't be unlimited.
It should be unlimited.
It can't, though, because you have to accommodate all the memory that each one of those things for each person takes up on their servers, right? And I know they need to have more servers, but that's got to get paid for somehow, right?
It should be limited like to the technical specification, because again, when we're in Destiny 1 and things were still on PS3 and the Xbox 360, they said, we can't up the vault space because of memory limits on this old console. So I mean, there is a limit of what you can hold, just a technical limit. But I somehow don't think 500 is that limit. Maybe it is, but I'm going to say it's probably higher than that.
Yeah,
and that's if it's storing it. I don't know if they still store it on the local Xbox or if it's saved on your save file on the servers, right? I don't know how that's done, but let's assume for a second it's saved on the Xbox, right? Okay, me as an Xbox One X user is going to have more RAM than, let's say, an original Xbox One user, right? So I'm going to have more vault space. That does make it a bit unfair. But that's what I was saying earlier. It needs to be server-side, right? And in order to accommodate for the memory being used on the servers for your particular vault, you should have to earn it in some way, shape, or form, whether that's grinding and your time helps the developers out, right? Because you're playing their game, that helps them, or your money, which directly helps them, right? So in one way, shape, or form, you should be able to justify the space that you're using on their servers for your vault, because you're using their servers in lieu of your Xbox. And I think that's really how it should be. That way, everybody's happy in some way, shape, or form, right? We get one slot for every weapon and armor in the game. And if we want more than that, we have to earn it in one way, shape, or form. And it's got to be stored in your save file, server side, and accessed on your console when you open the vault. That's how I think it should be done. And if they do it like that, there's not going to be any foreseeable issues with that. Just as long as they have enough RAM on the servers. And if they need more RAM, they add more RAM, right? Or they add another server, whatever. It's expandable as long as people are compensating the company either with their time or directly with their money. Or
you just don't worry about it because you have less than 400 things in your vault, right?
I do not. I am always sitting at that limit, man. And I have to pick and choose what I want all the time.
I don't think I've ever been just to be the counterpoint. And I know I'm probably in the minority here. I don't think I've ever hit the limit, even in D1, because I just don't save a lot of things. I went through my vault at some point because I realized, I would get an exotic gun. It's one of the ones I would never use and go, I wonder if I have this. I'd throw it in the vault and never think about it again. The vault is sort of my cold storage. I throw it in there and I might remember it's there at some point. There's a handful of exotics I go through, but most of the stuff that's sitting in there, I throw it in there and I never think about it again. Because really, I mean, there's like a limited number of loadouts I use and guns that I use that I'm in deep committed relationships with.
And that's what I'm saying. The way you said that, you make me think like that you as a Titan are like, ooh, big gun, go big boom. Only need big boom gun, right? So no matter what else you get, you don't need anything else because you've got the big boom gun. Never mind the situation, never mind tactics, never mind your opponents, never mind PvE or PvP. You're just like, have big gun, go big boom, go punch things till die. It's just that's whatever you see. Oh, I've never run out of vault space. I don't need all that stuff. It's because you limit yourself to the things that you
Because I've got a Bygones that I absolutely love, and I have a selection of auto rifles that's sitting in the vault space. Most of the stuff I don't. There's not an. I mean, until I can really build some armor sets and really actually like build full sets for things and access them and use them well, now we're finally getting the armor stuff back again, which goes back to our problem of enhancement cores. I'm not going to ever masterwork stuff to get that little bit of extra damage protection. But now that some of the armor pieces have, you can get, solar resistance or void resistance. Now I can actually build an armor set that'll say, hey, this will give you some void resistance or some arc resistance or whatever. It's not just like, oh, this has, auto rifle, loading on it or hand cannon loading on it, which are fine. But, there's nothing that makes me go, oh, that's a perk I absolutely need for what I'm doing. For the most part, if something procs, if something helps the gun out I'm using a little bit, that's all I'm looking for. There's just not that much of the game that I feel like this is really going to change the way this is running.
Yeah, I get that. But you also, as an example, right? I have a pulse rifle that I use for PvP. I have a pulse rifle that I use for PvE. Now, subcategories. Within PvP, I have a pulse rifle that specializes in long range. I have a pulse rifle that specializes in damage. Same thing, PvP. One that specializes in accuracy and range. Another one that specifies in close range and damage, right? And this is the same exact pulse rifle. It's not different pulse rifles. It's the same one that has different roles that fit my different needs, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like, instead of like thinking about, hey, where am I going? What am I going to need? Who am I going to fight? I need to equip accordingly. Here comes the Titan. I got a big gun and a big fist. Ha 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 ha. I don't need vault space. I have everything I need on me. I do the
same thing, but it's all the same gun. It's all the same gun for me. I'm usually rocking. Like I said, I've got a Bygones that I've been using ever since it dropped. I don't know, in like week 2 of this game or something. That I absolutely love with Kill Clip and Head Seeker. That's just what I've been using. I've got 1,300 Crucible kills on it. I'm just glancing at it now, and that's what I use in pretty much everything. I mean, if I'm going somewhere with Taken, I might throw a Malfeasance on. But I've got the one Bygones. I've got, I think, another one on my vault that I switch back and forth between my other 2 characters. But this is the primary weapon I've used pretty much since this game came out, because if it's more or less the solution for everything, at least as far as I play. I would love to have the ability to actually build more sets and build more loadouts. And again, part of it is I just need a new Xbox so things load faster. Because when I have to go in and switch weapons and it takes so long to load, which again is my own problem, even though I'm still pretty sure that the bug that Bungie mentioned about the fast travel being much slower than it should be in the second week that they just sort of stopped talking about, I'm pretty sure they still haven't fixed. Because sometimes the fast travel is fast and sometimes the fast travel is very slow.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, for example, right? You have that gun and you like that gun. But I use a blast furnace, right? So I've got you on range and damage, right? And depending on the game mode that I'm using, I have a blast furnace that has kill clip, outlaw, steady rounds with a range perk. And then I have one that's got kill clip, outlaw, steady rounds with an impact perk or a stability perk, right? So, depending on what I'm doing, I have a gun that best fits that activity, right? And yes, I still have the guns that you're talking about because they're good for certain things. But like if I'm going to PvP, for example, you come up against me and I have my blast furnace and you have your whatever you just said, I'm blanking. Bygones, thank you. I'm going to beat you out. It's just how it is, because I've got a better overall weapon than you do. So by limiting yourself by like, oh, I have this one gun and I like this gun. Don't get me wrong. It's a good gun. But there's other guns out there that are going to be better, especially when you talk about specific things, right?
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just, I play the game differently than you guys play the game. I've got 3 or 4 blast furnaces. All the rolls on them I've gotten so far have been subpar at best. Like my Spiteful Fang that came out of the Black Armory with both snapshot sights and hipfire on it. I'm going, why? Why do you do this to me, RNG? So I've gotten some of these guns and the rolls are just terrible on them. And then again, going back to our other, the other thing Bungie addressed, like my team was saying, Mr. Pulse Rifle, come back. I love to farm for another one. If it's not available for, a month and a half, I can't farm for it again to get a decent roll. Yeah, no, I agree with you. The Blast Furnace is a good gun if you have a good roll on it. If you have a garbage roll on it, then it's still not going to be better for, for your playstyle and what you want to do with it than something else you already have.
Right, but how can you get these good rolls? Like, because I have multiple good rolls of the same gun.
You
How can
wait for
how can you
Bungie to
hold
bring
on
it back to the
these
game, or right, yeah. I mean,
if you don't have the vault space?
right, you don't. I mean, I don't have the problem because my RNG is garbage, so I don't get the good rolls. I get a good roll and go, "Yep, this is good enough." Just like the Jotun, I would love to have one of those. Not for me, apparently. I don't get to have one.
You still don't have a Jotun?
Nope.
Do you just not do the forge?
I do the forge at least twice a week, every week.
What?
You know,
honestly,
to get the gold character, you know, to get the gold frame, and it does not drop for me. I don't know why. I don't have a Le Monarch and I don't have a Jotun. Like I said, my RNG is garbage. That's why.
At some point in time, it stops being RNG, and somebody just has something against you, man.
Yeah. Which is why at some point I mean there are a couple weeks I haven't done any forge because I was just like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this and still not getting the one thing I want out of it. I mean, yeah, I like sure I'll take another Spiteful Fang or take another Blast Furnace or another Kindled Orchid or whatever, but it's like I don't care about that drop. I care about the drop that I could get, and it goes back to the RNG problem of there's just no way to get the thing you want. You're just, you're walking into the casino, you're rolling the dice going, okay, big money, no whammy. Oh, still didn't happen. And there's nothing I can do. I would even buy, something to increase the chance of the thing dropping. Not even a guarantee, but, hey, this will give me, a 20% increase of, the chance of this stupid gun dropping. Because I just want one.
Right.
I don't need 6 Jotons. Just one Joton would be fine.
See, here's the thing, right? I can feel you on a spiritual level, right? Because now listen to this. You're gonna be like, oh well, your luck sounds good. But listen, right? So I have every single curated roll of every single gun in the entire game, with the exception of this new Wizened Rebuke. I do not have that, right? But to this day, I still do not have the 1,000 Voices or the Anarchy. And I've done those raids, I can't even tell you how many times. Like I said, I've got every curated roll from those raids from every weapon. And I still don't have those exotics to this day. And the last time I did the raid, right, I even got an exotic grenade launcher. And I was like, finally! But it wasn't the Anarchy. It was a different exotic grenade launcher. And at that point in time, that was the last time I played the raid. Because I'm like, this is just spitting in my face at this point.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's just
right. And that's the problem, because there's the grind. It goes back to the carrot and the stick. You've got the carrot on the end of that stick, but at some point you start looking at that stick going, I'm not sure if that's a carrot on the end or just, another branch on that stick. You're grinding, and again, you're trying to get, whether it be an armor piece, whether it be a gun. Again, I know some folks are, looking for like, the 18 Kelvin's hand cannon to drop, or, they need one weapon or one armor piece to finish a seal up. And it's just, no matter how many times they play whatever the activity is, it just never drops for them. There's got to be a point where, I would love Bungie to say, it has to be a point where if this is the one thing you need, or if you do this, 100 times, there has to be, if not a guarantee, at least, to do some, increasing returns the more you do it. If I run a Black Armory Forge 1,000 times, by time 300, maybe give me the chance of actually getting this gun a little bit higher, because it's apparently never going to drop. Not that I want to run it 1,000 times, and I won't, but I had the same problem with the Ikelos shotgun. I was 65-ish. I was at least 60, clears into Escalation Protocol before I ever saw the Ikelos shotgun drop. And it's not that I've gotten other Ikelos weapons. I have nothing but the shotgun. No SMG, no sniper. It's not like I was getting other weapons to drop on weeks where they were available. I never got anything to drop except for the Ikelos shotgun one time. And after 60 clears, I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I don't care about the rest of these weapons. There's a point where it's grind for the sake of grind, but you're not like you're not getting anything out of it. You're just like, okay, I'm going to get 380 blue weapons for the 90th time, and I don't know or care what the other Ikelos weapons are like. I'm never going to see them. I resign myself to the fact that this is just not going to happen.
And like other games that shouldn't be mentioned, right? Like other games that shouldn't be mentioned, they have limitations, right? Hey, if you've hit X level, you cannot get, drops that are this color or below, right? Something like that should kind of happen with Destiny, right? Because why do we still get blues and whites? I've gotten a white. I got a white drop in Destiny. I'm like,
yeah, but I'm sure we discussed that, and it was because you were colorblind settings.
Whatever. Okay, so in saying that, I know how you feel, because I got the shotgun and the submachine gun pretty quickly pretty quickly on, right? I only had to do a few runs and I got both, and I've gotten multiple rolls of both, in a time span that I was trying to get the sniper rifle. At some point in time, I got an achievement I didn't recognize, and I went back to look at it, and it said that was my 100th time doing escalation protocol. And I was just like, so you're telling me I've done this 100 times and I still don't have one Aikilo sniper rifle? And I think that's when I stopped playing. I stopped playing escalation protocol at that point.
You see, which goes back to that's why I don't have vault space problems, because I'm not getting these guns to even put in my vault. I get one of them, or I never see them again. So see, if I don't have any reason to put things in the vault because there's nothing there to put there.
That's fair.
Going back to that slightly, what I don't understand is the exotic weapons aside. So once you've got the exotic weapon, you can then pull it back out from your collection, and if it's already masterworked, you can still pull it out from your collections as a masterwork. That is fine. But what I don't understand is, once you've hit the max level of that season, so 700 now, why can I now not get rid of all the exotic weapons that I've got and then pull them out of the collection when I want them at that highlight level? Because I've reached that highlight level, it should be available from my vault. I don't understand, because it's only a weapon. I understand about doing that through the armor, but that exotic weapon...
Well, the armor and the weapon are the same.
No, because I understand that I think they're probably worried that people would then start infusing all their weapons up to the max light.
Which you could do.
But yeah,
with the weapons and the armor.
But that's if you pull out if the weapons did go to the max light and you pulled those all out, you'd then be able to infuse those all into your other weapons, because you don't use enhancement cores if it's an exotic weapon, a higher light. It's just the glimmer or shards and planetary materials.
That's true. And I think that should be a factor if you haven't reached max light, right? But if you have reached max light level, I think, like what you're saying, you've earned the right to pull out a weapon at that light level.
But I think that's the problem that they're coming up against, is that people then infuse all of those weapons into all their other weapons. And what's the problem with that?
Yeah, you've earned it.
You're not going to affect the other weapons. Once you say you pull a weapon out of your collection, it should be like the spider. If you start then infusing up and up each day, the cost should double, triple, quadruple each time that you do it. So maybe you could only do one infuse from your collection. But then maybe that's a bit too complicated for them to work out. But I don't understand.
That and that just, I think you're opening a new can of worms.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to fall back into the whole, we don't have enough to do whatever, right? And then, like, for example, with what's her face? The Tex Mechanica. Why can't I remember her name?
Amanda Holiday.
Thank you. Amanda Holiday, right? I don't know how you do it, right? But I saw online that you can give her a weapon and it will bring that weapon up to your max light level.
No,
what's the difference between doing that? Huh?
I didn't give her the weapon. I'd complete the quest. I left the chaperone at the vendor, and then waited until I needed a primary weapon and got close to 700.
Okay, I got
and then took that weapon, so that then all my primary weapons were 700 at that point, all my weapons were 700 at that point, because that was one of the last things I was needing.
Actually, I thought that's how. So I just misunderstood how that worked, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's a nice little quality of life thing. But okay, so they didn't implement that now. But that brings a point. Why not? What if you could give them one of your weapons, and in 24 hours that weapon is at max light level, right? You give it to her, she fiddles with it, you get it back the next day. Now it's max light level, right? See what I'm saying? Why can't that? And it's not broken, right? Because it's only one a day. You give her one weapon, and you get it back in 24 hours, and it's max light level or armor piece, right?
It's an interesting mechanic. I don't think I've ever heard that anywhere else before.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't spend 6 weeks grinding for that, primary 700 drop to get, instead of get 700 boots in the meantime. But yeah, that would be an interesting mechanic of saying, or just have
you don't have to wait weeks for that. You just have to wait a few minutes to get another weapon that's high light level and feed that into that weapon.
You may not have to wait weeks for that. This is, I'm pretty sure the 650 cap was the first time I'd ever hit the light cap between the last two Destinies. before the light cap was increased, because I was always needing something. There was always, usually an armor piece, a butt cape, a boot. There was always something I was always lacking, and I would get, drop after drop after drop of everything else. Everything else would be at the max light, but I would always still be missing that one piece, and so I would never actually hit the light cap. Again, not that it really mattered, not that 650 versus 649 or 48 it matters at all, but it was just annoying to try to be getting trying to check that box off. Okay, I'm absolutely the max that I can be, and never being able to reach it because I was always missing something.
Man, either you're making some of this stuff up, or you really got the luck of anyone I've ever heard of.
I think he's got the worst luck.
That's a little insane.
Let me tell you about my quest for Gallahorn.
Dude, I didn't even get it till Xur sold it a week before it got nerfed. Don't come at me with the Gallahorn quest.
Well, see, that's the quest, trying to get it, begging for it to drop. I don't remember how many. Yeah, I have terrible RNG. I have horrible RNG. My Warlock has slightly better RNG, but my Titan, he has no RNG.
Because it's the Titan. Stop using the Titan. It's a sign.
Other people's Titans have better RNG. I do not. Pan got a Jotun, and he's run the Black Armory far less times than I have.
And that right there, how do you not have
that's
one of those, man? Because those are like, that's crazy.
Because Bungie doesn't love me.
So going back to our discussion on the vault space, for example, I've got the winged discipline legs for my Titan. Now, the role that I've got on them synergizes with my build that I've got for Gambit Prime with my Risk Runner and my Insurmountable Skullfort. So I've got the Submachine Scavenger, I've got Traction, so moves faster, and I've got the Plasteel Reinforcement mod on there. So I've got 2 mobility and 3 resilience on there. Problem is, I've got a solar burn on it, and I'm trying to do an arc build. I've got 8 other legs with a similar role on it with mobility and resilience, but I can't get the extra traction, to drop on those wing things. But that's the role that I prefer, with 1 mobility and 2 resilience. And if I can get an extra mobility on there and stick a mod on there, they're my perfect pair of boots. So I've got 8 pairs, all with different things on them. So I've got one that drops heavy. I've got one that drops, secondary. I've got one that's got linear fusion dexterity. I've got one with hand cannon dexterity. I've got all these different roles on those specific armor pieces that I like. And the same with like the Iron Banner from the first season. So the Iron Remembrance, I've got like the different greaves. I've got one that's for the Titan that's got 3 resilience on it. So I've got about 4 or 5 sitting in the vault, all with different roles, because they've got different burns on them. So that's why, my vault's filled up. I've got the similar thing with weapons. I like to collect. I watch these videos and they say, these are the god rolls. So I look out for those and I get ones that are close to it, like a Feeding Frenzy and Slide Shot on a Blast Furnace, but I can't get the Feeding Frenzy kill clip. So I've got one that's close, and if I slide, I get the extra damage. So I've kept that. I've got one that's got kill clip and, moving target on it. So I've kept that. And, I've got one that's got Outlaw Rampage on it, but I'm not, a headshot king. So
honestly, that Outlaw Rampage should be the only one that you freaking...
Yeah, but I'm not that good at the headshots. So, yesterday I was shooting all around in circles trying to hit a blooming hunter bouncing around. So I collect these guns, and yes, I may try and look for the ones that the videos or these YouTubers saying this is the god roll, but then I may find one that works better for me. Like I was saying to Blue Screen yesterday, that I've pulled out my guiding star from Dead Orbit Year 1 in Destiny 2. And it's a 700 RPM auto rifle primary, and it's fantastic. It's like having a submachine gun with a little bit more stability and a little bit more, damage, because it's got the
steady rounds?
High caliber round.
Oh,
no, it's got high caliber rounds on it. So if I do get those headshots, their heads pinging back. So I've got all these other different roles of guns that I want to try out, and like I was week with the enhancement cores, that's why I've got a lot of stuff in my vault, because I'm trying to save it so that maybe if the economy does change, I can then go, okay, I'll max that one out and masterwork that one, and I'll max that one out and masterwork that one, and then take them into those things.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point because the meta isn't always the same.
No.
Right? So you have to keep all the guns with all these different things because you never know when one perk is going to get nerfed, another perk is going to get buffed, or that entire weapon damage type is going to get buffed or nerfed, right? Yeah. So you can't just like get rid of them, man.
Like the Frostmire's Hex from the Iron Banner in Year 1 Destiny 1. Fantastic gun, and I absolutely loved it. And it's a scout rifle, and they got nerfed for 9-10 months. You know, now they're back in, you know, comparable, you know, usage, and you know, it's got an arrowhead brake on it for the recoil. It's got high caliber rounds, and it's got Dragonfly. Can't put a Dragonfly spec mod on it, but it does the job for me. You know, it's a fantastic gun, and I've been using that in the Iron Banner this week. I maxed that up to 700, and I've been using that with the Guiding Star. So I'm using Year 1 Destiny 2 weapons and having fun in Iron Banner. But if I want to go to like crutch weapons, I've got different roles of like Dust Rock Blues and some of the other shotguns. I've got 3 or 4 different roles on my Redrick's broadsword. You know, I've got ones with ricochet rounds. I've got the curated role with the high caliber rounds. But then the different barrel perks work sometimes for me. Sometimes they don't. And what I was going to say is also in Year 1, when they said they were going to take away the burns from all the weapons, and they gave you a list of what burns were going to be permanently on those weapons in your collection. So I went through what I had and what I didn't have and wrote out lists and lists on pages of the guns and what burn they had and what burn they were going to be. And I mean, I was ridiculous. I've kept like a inaugural address, and it was my Masterworked one, and it came with solar. But then I can go in my collections and pull out the Void one, which is fantastic for doing the different burns. And the Uriel's Gift auto rifle, I've got all 3 burns of those. So I'm going to try those out when I can. Also, I've got 2 versions of the Mida Mini Tool because I know I can go and buy the 3rd one. I think it's from the guy in the EDZ, Devram. My vault's filled up with, you know, things that I cherish and things that I've actually got that I can't get again, you know, not even from pulling out from the collection. So, and I also think a lot of the community have done very similar things, probably not as...
I did the same thing with the shotgun and the submachine gun, the escalation protocol, so yeah.
Yeah, so, but I don't think people went to the same extreme lengths that I did with writing everything down. So there are cherished things that you've got in your vault that you can't re-pull out. You know, I did the same in Destiny 1. You know, there was machine guns that you could get, the Zombie Apocalypse. I had a fantastic roll on, I can't remember which one it is now. There's a fantastic machine gun that I had that had Feeding Frenzy on it, and it hit like a truck. But those things I kept because I couldn't get them again. You know, they were 170 power, and I could use them in normal not Iron Banner. I could use them in normal Crucible, but not, you know, anything competitive or Iron Banner that had your light. But I had good fun with those weapons. And I think Destiny needs to appreciate this with their player base, because people are going to collect things and people are going to want to save these things. And with all these new armors that are coming in and all these new roles of weapons that are coming in, they're going
to make a looter shooter and not give us enough space
for
the loot.
It needs to be something that they reevaluate before it gets to the point of the community saying we need more vault space. Like I said, they should have seen this coming with the 60 sets that people could potentially, if they wanted all 4 roles for 3 characters in their vault, because not everybody is like us looking for the enhanced versions of those items. You know, like I was saying with the Crucible set that I've got, it is just a Crucible set. You can't get any enhanced perks on it, but it's the roles that I like. And since they've done the update recently where they changed what stats could roll on them with mobility and heavy and things like that, it's now mixed up what roles that I can get on there. So I'm less favourable to collect those, if you see what I mean. Because whereas before it was fixed, I knew that I could farm that event or farm that place and get that specific role and hopefully get arc burn to drop on that armor piece. Now I've got to hope that it drops with the arc burn, the right roll that I want on it, and the right perks. So they're adding more and more things for me to do and try and collect, and I may get one that is one thing out, stick it in the vault and hope for that. And I do enjoy going in and clearing out the vault every now and then, thinking I've got to go through, and then I use Destiny Item Manager to match up all the weapons. And the weapons are a lot easier to go through and go, right, that one's got that on it, that one's got that on it. Do I need that one? Probably not. I'll get rid of that one. Whereas the armor is slightly different, because I may have one set in the Iron Banner, and then one set in Crucible set, one set in the Prime set, with all different things on it. But they may all say, that it's an arc burn with a mobility and 2 resilience. You see what I mean? And I want to keep those for those specific roles, because Prime armor is going to be for just Prime now. And, it's just frustrating to get to this point of, it's asking for more vault space.
Yeah, having like we've said, having a looter shooter that you can't keep all the loot. And I mean, and to say nothing of, I'm glad that all these folks and all these developers have made all these apps, Destiny Item Manager and a Shark Commander and all these things that allow you to look at this, because there's nothing. As far as in-game tools or resources, there's nothing. It's here's an entire thing of list of armor and list of weapons you can sort of sort in some not so super useful ways. But as far as if you had to sort all this in game, there's no way. It would take you forever to go and look at, inspect each piece and then try to remember, okay, which of the 6 ones have this on it. I wish there was some way to either, to tag or to change the thumbnail or do something, with all these basically identical looking
in game
weapons and armor we have. At least let me put a little solar tag to say, hey, okay, this is the one with, solar resistance on it, or, this is part of this. Give me some way to sort and classify all my loot. It's like, here's a bunch of guns, here's a bunch of armor pieces.
Oh, to sort. Oh, okay. I was going to say, because you can hit the trigger and it'll show you the light level.
Right. Yeah, it'll do that. But then it's like, okay, but then there's no way to even just give me a way to group them. Give me some way to group these and say, okay, this is Gambit. This is, because it's just, here's every armor, even across 3 characters. Like, at least give me a filter. If I'm on a Titan, just show me the Titan armor. I don't care about the Hunter and Warlock armor if I'm on a Titan looking at Titan armor. Same thing with the other 2 characters. Don't show me everything in the game if I don't need to see it right now. Let me filter that out. Let me actually look at what I need.
Destiny Item Manager has actually done that now.
Right, precisely.
It'll filter it into the different sections for Titan, Hunter, and Warlock.
Right, exactly. Yeah. These tools exist to do it, but there's nothing. If you're just trying to do this in the game, like if you somehow don't play the game that much and just don't know all these tools exist, or don't have a smartphone, you're young, you're whatever. I would love to see some at least just rudimentary tools in the game to say, okay, you built a looter shooter, give me some way to deal with this loot you're giving me, other than just here's a list, good luck, here's a spreadsheet, have fun.
Respawn, have you got anything else that you'd like to say on that issue?
No, I think I've said everything. We've beat this horse until just it's bad. It's bad.
Well, if anybody that is listening has got any other points that they want to raise, then feel free to tweet us at 2titans_hunter and let us know.
Yeah, what he said and stuff.
Or email us at 2titansandahunter@hotmail.com with any questions or topics that you think that we can discuss, our opinions or our experiences with it, and we can go from there.
It's sort of nice having me and you guys on sort of the opposite ends of the spectrum of. Night Team is clearly the collector. He's going to collect every bit of piece of armor he can. Respawn's going to find that perfect loadout, that perfect combination for every situation. I'm just like, this works.
Well, you have to, because if you don't find the perfect stuff for each situation, then you just, what do you do?
Be lazy.
You got to, otherwise you're just going to keep everything, right? So you gotta find the perfect thing for you, and then just delete everything else. Otherwise,
right,
you're never going to have vault space.
I can't tell you how long I've been hunting for an Actium War Rig with any kind of auto rifle perks on it, because I've got one, the only one I've ever seen in the game, that has, I don't even remember what the rolls are, but it's nothing having, it's the Titan armor piece that basically lets you shoot auto rifles forever. Neither of the perks on it have anything to do with auto rifles. I've been looking for anything with an auto rifle perk on it. And I was like, I've never seen, Xur hasn't sold it yet. I've never had another one drop. I was like, one day I'll see another Actium War Raid that'll actually be sort of useful. But until that day, it gets thrown to the side and forgotten for the most part.
And not just that, but also the oh my god, the boots, man. The damn boots that let you do the whole infinite submachine gun thing, man. That is amazing. But mine, I can't get a roll that has any submachine gun perks on it. Right?
Yeah. Or even like not even god rolls, but just rolls that make sense. Just synergy rolls. I'm going to give you a chest piece for auto rifles. Give me at least one auto rifle perk on it. Yeah, I'm going to give you.
That's what Xur should be for. Xur should bring god rolls. I know we said this a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Or go back to Destiny 1 and have those glass needles, which give you the opportunity to re-roll your equipment. That would give us another reason to visit him, and put something in the game that you have to then go and do to then earn to get these glass needles. Put the strange coins back. That would be fun. You get strange coins from doing these events, those events, and then you can go and buy the glass needles. You can re-roll your stuff. Because I think that's what they're missing. Bungie's missing the point on this, that they've created this game where people enjoy collecting, people enjoy playing the game, and they like to, is it theory craft, where you try and build these different sets for doing different things. They've just given us Gambit Prime with different sets for different roles. They're building these games, or building this game, and putting these things in the world, but then they're restricting us on what we can do. And it's frustrating. It really is frustrating, because
it's almost like they think if the new stuff comes out, they don't need the old stuff. And that's just not the case, because the new stuff is not inherently better than the old stuff, unless they nerf the old stuff like they did for the year 1 stuff, unless they just make year 2 stuff better and year 1 is now obsolete by design, then you still use older stuff, So you got to give us the space to have the new stuff and the old stuff. I don't know why that is such a foreign concept to some of these people, man. It's like, really?
I think some of the problem is that because the game has changed, as I'm talking like Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 moving as a whole entity, it has shifted over the years of how the game has evolved, and I know we've had that whole Destiny 1 finishing this state, and Destiny 2 then went back on itself to then slowly get back to a different state. I mean, it's not like the end of Destiny 1, but it's similarly, or it's getting there sort of. And I think the problem is that players have grown up, they've moved on, and that's evident in a lot of the podcasts that I've heard. They will, diverge onto different games and discuss, what they're playing and what their community is wanting them to discuss. Whereas I think that's where the community they've gone off and they're now playing other games. And I don't necessarily think that it's damaged the Destiny community. I think that the Destiny community has changed. Whereas it was all focused on raid runs, and it was this big community of helping each other out. And I think where people have now moved on, other games have come into the area and changed the rules, as it were. And Destiny's kind of tried to evolve and change to fit these new rules that have been set in place, because those players that have been quite vocal have moved on. And the players that actually do enjoy the game are still here and still playing the game. And like the tweet that we got the other day, he doesn't raid, but he agreed with you, Respawn. Those enhancement calls should be from raids and pinnacle things to do. You've still got people like that are enjoying the game. It
sounds like he's getting so depressed he just can't continue on. He's like, I don't even know what to say. These things should be obvious. I don't even know why we're discussing them. But you just sound so dejected. You don't know how to continue on, man. And that in itself is a symptom.
Well,
right?
The thing is, I enjoy the game and you guys enjoy the game. And we are just normal people that have normal day jobs and come home, we play the game, relax. It's not all this pressure of having to do the world's first and having to build up a stream community and keep that community entertained. And when Trials goes away, oh my God, what are we going to do kind of thing? We don't have to move on to another game. We just play the game that we like.
We just have a podcast community we need to keep entertained. Speaking of which, we love you all. We love all of you that listen. Please keep listening to us. Please keep giving us your feedback.
Love is a strong
Every time
word.
someone emails us,
Two Titans love everyone.
every time someone tweets us or emails us, it's really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting for us every time someone sends us a tweet or an email, even if you're just like, "Hey, I like this," or "Hey, you were wrong," or "Hey." It's just nice to know that, we see the numbers, people are downloading this. We assume you're listening. We assume you're finding some value in this, or you're just laughing at this going, haha, look at these idiots who don't know what they're talking about. But just, just think, we love hearing any little bit of feedback. We enjoy it. So just thank you all for listening, and thank you, for letting us know you're out there.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Hey, even if they're laughing at us, they're still listening. So hold on. He just said the two Titans love you, right? And that brings up a point. I don't know if this is the case for everybody, right? So I'm not saying this is a blanket statement, but what I am saying is every hunter main that I know, we all have about the same carefree, I'm going to do what I want and I don't care what you think kind of attitude. I don't want to say that, we became like Cade 6, right?
Dead?
I think it's more hunter mains related to Cade 6 because we were already like that and we just kind of drew in on that personality type, and as hunters we're all just kind of and again, I'm not speaking a blanket statement for everyone, but at least my community of hunters that I deal with on a daily basis, we're all the same kind of arrogant, smart aleck, self-righteous, like earlier, love is a bit of a strong word, right? Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the fact that we have listeners, but love, really? I'm kind of a solo act, you know what I mean? I don't know where I was going with that. I felt like saying it because you're like, oh, the two Titans, we love you.
So you can.
It's like, as a hunter, I'm just like.
So you can email two Titans and a hunter at hotmail.com. Tell Respawn how wrong he is. We would all enjoy that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. If there's other hunters out there that find themselves to be nice guys and love their community, they're real friendly, great, but at the same time, how many hunters out there are like me and just like, I don't really care unless I get to kill people or better myself in some way. Who are you and why are you talking to me? Right?
So now we've covered that, the last couple of topics that we've got, we have a couple of video links. One is the hidden lore eggs that are available on the Derelict or via the Reckoning game mode, and I will link that in the show notes. That's by Esoteric. And he goes over where all the 9 items are. I found, I think, 3 as I was just like wandering around the Derelict and in the Reckoning game. But there is a video to collect all 9. And I will also link the video that I talked about on last week's podcast by Mtash on his view of the enhanced armor pieces. So there's that. Service Revolver is our weapon spotlight of the week. So yeah, I found a God Roll video by Diddy Side, and he goes over the God Rolls, or his idea of the God Rolls, and what to look out for. And it's basically an easy gun to obtain. Do Nightfalls, do Strikes, do anything for Zavala, get those tokens and turn them in, and you have a good chance at getting a Service Revolver to drop. And yeah, it can be comparable to the Luna's Howl and Forgotten.
Yeah, no, I got completely wrecked by that. And I even made a comment while we were playing together, and I was like, dude, that Service Revolver, that thing is nutty. Because I was full health, full shield, and it 2-shot me. And that's when Odie is all like, yeah, he must have had Rampage active or whatever. And yeah, probably he did. But that stunned the hell out of me, because I have only ever seen that with like Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, and then I just got pop at a distance too. It's not like he was right around the corner or hiding behind something. No, he was like, I don't want to say cross map, but he was at like scout rifle distance and 2-shot me, and I was like, what? That Service Revolver is nasty, man.
Okay, so that's something I could go take my Vanguard tokens right now over to Zavala and shove them into his mouth and say, enjoy these lovely tokens, and I might see a service revolver out of that. In theory, that's where this gun comes from.
Yeah, I've got a service revolver from. I've gotten a service revolver from him before, and it was just like a crap roll, and I was like, whatever, right? But I didn't stop to think, hey, this is a weapon I haven't seen before. I didn't bother to look up what it could drop with, right? Because I already have the hand cannons I like. And so I had one and I got rid of it because it was a crap roll anyway. But now I'm actively trying to get it back because I see that you can get like Zen Moment and Outlaw or Rampage. Outlaw. Zen Moment and Outlaw on that thing, or Zen Moment and Rampage. And I'm just like, what? Dude, for a hand cannon, that's nutty. And you get a range mod on that thing. Good.
Comes with rapid hit, which is basically rapid precision hits, temporarily increase the stability and reload speed. So it's fantastic.
This may shock you. I do not have one.
That perk and Rampage is a good combination, and that's pointed out in the video. It's a 180 RPM hand cannon, so it's very similar to the Trust with the firing rate. So very good at the bloom, for a console player anyway.
Yeah, but doesn't it have better? I'm trying to think. I don't have it in front of me, but doesn't it have better range and or stability? No, it doesn't have better stability. It has better range and damage than the Trust, though, doesn't it?
Yes, because it's a primary weapon, whereas I think Trust is a energy weapon.
Plus, it frees up your energy slot for like an kilo shotgun or something too. So,
but the reason we're highlighting it is because if you've been going up against, or you wanted to get a Lunas or a Not Forgotten, and you don't want to go into Crucible, you can't go into Crucible or competitive for that, then this is the next best, available weapon to get. I mean, if you look at like the Luna's quest, I've got the notes there for it. You have to complete 10 competitive matches, 150 hand cannon kills in competitive, 200 solar kills in competitive, complete 3 rumble matches. You have to get 100 hand cannon precision kills in competitive, reach Fabled in the Glory-enabled playlist, and then you can return to Shaxx to get the Luna's Howl. Whereas this, you can play PvE, do strikes and nightfalls, and get a very similar weapon to drop.
Okay, so I just checked my collections. This may surprise you again. I do not have a service revolver in my collection. It's never dropped. I have, as we speak, 1,691 Vanguard tokens. How many of those do you think it's going to take for me to give Zavala to get a service revolver to drop? Because I'm going to...
1,692.
Right.
Are you going to test this? Are you going to go and test your theory?
I am absolutely going to... I'm going to go in. I'm going to go to the tower, hopefully this weekend, if not later today. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to pull all the tokens out of my vault, stand in front of Zavala, and record me feeding him tokens until I get a service revolver to drop, if I get a service revolver to drop.
Okay. You come back next week and tell us how we got on.
I will tell you how many service revolvers I have at that point.
Okay. Respawn. Did you get your Thorn?
Nope.
Okay. So you can't come back this week and tell us your experience with it. So that's really helpful.
No, because I was in the hospital and it was not a fun time.
Next week, maybe then.
Maybe.
Do you need me to come and hold your hand in the strike?
Maybe a little bit, but I mean,
okay. Another public service announcement. If you're interested, Deej says there's another community summit going on. This time they've invited a few other streamers and people in the community. Not necessarily the same people that went last time, but apparently it's a smaller event. And they're going to be going to see what the new Penumbra is going to be all about. So that'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks to hear back from all of those guys coming out of that. Sad news about Josh Hamrick. I think he was the lead sandbox designer, wasn't he, for Crucible? He's leaving Bungie. Sad that he is leaving.
I mean, it's sort of telling to have your Crucible guy leaving when, at the same time, a lot of folks are saying Crucible is not really getting the attention it deserves.
Well, I mean, if he's the guy that's been designing the game as it is to this point, I mean,
I'm sort of curious if this is a cause and effect of he's leaving, therefore Crucible isn't getting the love, or Crucible isn't getting the love, therefore him going,
right.
Maybe it's time for greener pastures somewhere else.
Well, apparently he's going to take a bit of a break before he goes back into making any games. So
Gonna go to the Tibetan
That's just
mountains, find himself, come back, design better games.
another useful point. You get 7 enhancement cores for the rank 4 clan perk when you complete the Hawthorne's weekly milestone. So if your clan manages to get to rank 4, you'll get 7 enhancement cores each week once you've completed the weekly milestone. So you guys are excited about that? More enhancement cores?
That actually is nice, yeah. But if your clan does it, you get them, right? You don't actually have to. Like, let's say, for example,
you as a clan reach that tier 4 of however many thousand experience points that is. Yeah, I think we're at tier 2. I just saw the. Also, again, it's nice. If you watch the video version of the podcast on YouTube last week, I threw a little clip in there because I hadn't seen where Bungie actually now pops up a little thing where it says, "Hey, your clan has now hit tier 1, tier 2." It pops up just like the triumphs are at the bottom of the screen. So we were either in Iron Banner or the tower or somewhere, and I saw it pop up again that we've hit tier 2. So it's nice to actually see, in game that your clan has done something like that. Whereas before, it's just like you could sort of go look at it, but you didn't really notice it, and it wasn't really doing you any good. So it was nice to actually see A, you've unlocked these things, and B, what they are, so you can sort of look out for them. But yeah, more enhancement cores are always a nice thing because I got 10 to drop from it was either resetting my Valor rank in Crucible or getting to the point where it tells you can reset it, but you can't actually reset it yet. One of those two dropped me 10 enhancement cores. I was like, thanks. Now I've got 20.
Yeah, but how long does it take to get that clan rank to rank 4 though? Let's just say if your clan does everything they need to, can you do it in a day, or is it going to take you the whole week?
It's going to take you a couple of weeks because it is. I don't remember how many. Hold on, let me pull up. This is fascinating radio.
See, now I'm less excited about that.
Right? If you looked at your stave more often and admired it,
as a clan to get 7 enhancement cores, only 7, that to me seems a bit weak. But I complain a lot.
Okay, so actually, and of course, in game, it doesn't actually tell me in game where we are. We have hit, we have gotten rank 1, which are the increased public event rewards. Rank 2 is completing weekly Hawthorne Bounty Awards mod components, and we also have Core Hound, the clan perk for not week 3, but tier 3, or level 3, completing a clan vendor challenge awards enhancement core. So we've got that one done. And again, clan level 5, which it doesn't tell me how far we are to clan level 5, will be increase the drop rates of Crucible and Strike Catalysts while playing with clanmates. And then level 6 will give us an additional weekly bounty for Hawthorne. So again, in game, it doesn't tell you where you are in this grind, but it will tell you what you have available, now that you've completed it.
So we're rank 4, and I didn't get any.
We're 3. We're 3 at the moment.
Dude, it shows 4 on my clan thing. It shows 4 on our way to 5.
When you look at the stave?
Yeah. There's a little 4 inside the little diamond right there.
I think maybe the thing is that it will, if you completed your weekly clan milestone from Hawthorne before we hit the 4, you only got what you got before hitting the 4. So now it's over that. If you change to another character and then do it, you might then get the 7.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. I just pulled it up for season 6. Yeah, we are level 4, which is we're.
You must have only just hit that because it's only been like 3 and a bit weeks, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Could have been our outstanding performance yesterday in the Iron Banner with our 12 win streak. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a clan, we're at 50,000. Yeah, we're at 50,000 experience out of 125,000 total, which I think is for the season. So yeah. So we've passed. I don't know if level 4 is 50,000 or that's just where we happen to be sitting right now. But yeah, but that's where we're sitting as a clan is 50,000 and we're at level 4. So yeah, it's interesting because it didn't show. I just looked in game at the stave and it wasn't showing we were at level 4 yet. But when I go to look at Braytech, it's showing it now. So don't know. We're here. Things should drop hopefully.
So you said complete the weekly bounty, right? So there's a few weekly bounties. Which one are you talking about?
No, just complete the Hawthorne thing.
What Hawthorne?
The weekly milestone. Just getting, is it 5,000 XP for the clan?
Oh, I see.
So if you do that on 3 characters, that's potentially 21 enhancement cores.
Right, okay.
Right, yeah, sorry, that one, sorry, yes.
So it should work next week on all characters, but then we were gradually getting to 4 this week, so that's why, some people would have got it and some people wouldn't.
Yeah, so I'm at 94% of my weekly bounty.
So once you finish that, you'll get the 7 enhancement cores.
All right, I got to complete a clan bounty. Let's see.
Mhm.
Summon a biscuit.
Oh no, you can just play with clan members or just do public events and things. You don't necessarily have to do any bounties.
Yeah, just right. Yeah, just playing the game, you'll see the little pop up. Eventually, hey, you got experience for this and that and the other. Yeah. Since they got rid of the pick up the daily bounties from Hawthorne, you just go play the game and you'll see it'll say personal XP or is it personal? Or I know it'll say like personal XP or clan XP or something like that. When you or someone in the clan generates experience for the clan. So yeah, just play it and then you'll 6% more shouldn't be that much at all. And then you'll have your cores. You can report back next week on all your lovely cores that came raining from the sky.
So I just wanted to go over a couple of things from the Iron Banner. So if you are going after the Wizened Rebuke with the Iron Burden on, then things like Le Monarch and the Jotun are really good, even if you are below level, to one-shot other Guardians.
You can only one-shot other Guardians if you're a Warlock and you're standing in as far as...
So, yeah, with the Jotun, you can one-shot other Guardians at lower level. Even if you don't get them with the one-shot, the burn should kill them.
Sorry, let me be specific. With the Le Monarch, you... it's funny, because basically you're saying the butterfly twice, right? Anyway, with Le Monarch, you can't one-shot unless you're standing in a damage buff rift, right? If you're standing in a damage buff rift, the initial shot will bring them to low health, and then the poison will finish them off.
These are the weapons I'm just pointing out to other people that other people in the Crucible are using, especially the Jotun, sorry, Parody, are using to get the Wizened Rebuke for the one kill.
I'm aware of it. I've been smacked in the face by the Jotun many times.
Sorry, it's just the way he did it, man. It's like
I'm aware
he wasn't
it's
trying to disrespect you, and I get that. He was legit saying, I'm sorry you don't have it yet. But the presentation was just so scummy, dude. It's like, oh my god. So like I didn't even think about him not having it until you pointed it out. You put him on blast again, and I'm just like, that's so bad, man. That's so bad.
Off these weapons for people to use, but there's specific weapons that you have to go and get.
Your advice is useless. Okay. 1 star. Would not take advice again, angry British man.
Telesto. If you have a Telesto, that is also quite good.
A what now?
Yeah, one of them.
I know you have a Telesto. Shut up.
They still work.
Xur has been selling Telesto, so if you don't have one by now, even with your bad RNG, it's just because you're just a bad person. You're a bad player. That's your own fault at this.
So
I'm going to stack up Telestos. Don't worry.
The other thing I wanted to point out just quickly is the Iron Burden isn't working sometimes. You have to be very careful. I don't know what triggers it not to work, but I was playing quite a few games yesterday with it active. I had the little red symbol on my character screen saying that my power had been taken down by 100, but my light was still showing at 700. And when it is active and it is working, you kind of get that music chime to say that your energy, your power has been dropped to 600. And when you go into your character screen, it should say 600. And when you're playing the game on the left-hand side of the screen, there'll be a little red triangle, an upside-down red triangle that says that you've got the Iron Burden. Now, if that's not showing and your light is still showing at 700, but on your character screen, you've still got that red upside-down triangle and it's counting down, the only thing I found that would work is if I left that game and then went into the next game, it suddenly started working again. And I don't know whether it was that I was messing about swapping weapons out as I was flying into the match, but that was the only thing I could think of that I'd done that was different, that might have affected it. So I don't know if anybody else has come across that, but just double check if you are going for the Wizened Rebuke. You make sure it's active and make sure you're the one that gets the kill and don't let Respawn come in and steal all your kills. So play solo and don't play as a 4-stack, 5-stack or 6-stack.
Nobody's
listening to Respawn because I'm going to cut him out of whatever he's saying.
And I have visual evidence showing that the hunters were not stealing kills. We were just better than everyone else.
There's no visual evidence you weren't stealing kills. They're just end of game reports showing how many kills you got. It doesn't say how you got them.
No, you said that you recorded the entire matches.
Which records me. It doesn't record you because you can't be bothered to record yourself. So you get to see subpar Pink Titan gameplay. If you'd like to record yourselves and give me some footage,
well,
I will
actually,
absolutely.
No, that in itself is evidence, right? So if you're not getting shots and people are still dying, obviously it's the hunters doing it and not us just freaking stealing your kills.
Or it's the Warlock or the Titan.
So before we go, guys, I just want to get your opinions on this Iron Banner. I know we haven't got the Wizened Rebuke yet, but I think 49 kills away from getting it. So I'll talk about it on the next one, because hopefully in the next couple of days I should be able to get it. But I've heard a lot of YouTubers saying that it's a bit of an underwhelming weapon to get, but the idea is good. Do you guys think that the Iron Burden game mechanic is a good thing?
Honestly, I have no opinion of it because I don't think it's good and I don't think it's bad. I just think it's something they did to change things up a bit, right? Now, in the respect that they've added a mechanic to make the game more difficult in order for you to earn a specific weapon. Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, I get that. You have to earn it by bringing your light level down to get it, right? Sure. I already have a Wizened Rebuke that's got a really good roll that, in my opinion, is better than the one that people are farming for. And even if I didn't have that Wizened Rebuke, you know, again, going back to the raid fusion rifle is also really, really good. The
Techian Force?
Yeah, Techian Force. That's what it is, yeah. Techian Force is really good. And it's even better if you have the curated roll, which I may or may not have like 3 of them. But point is there's other fusion rifles out there that I think are inherently better without having to subject yourself to that kind of a grind. And I know people are going to say, but it's got a different perk. Granted, I get that, right? But even with its unique perk, it's still not as good as some of the other fusion rifles that are out there. Other legendaries, I think, are better than that particular fusion rifle. That's my opinion.
You say that, though, but the collector in me wants that weapon and it wants it in my vault. Also, Bungie I think they've tweeted out or they've let other people in the community know that going forward in the next couple of Iron Banners, if you get the Wizened Rebuke to drop from doing the Iron Burden kills, you can then get it from packages from Lord Saladin in future Iron Banners, and they have the potential to be different roles. So you could get one that's got similar roles to the Year 1 version, but could be better. So you've got to put yourself through the Iron Burden to unlock the potential of getting those other random roles.
As of right now, there's a lot of other legendary fusions better than the Wizened Rebuke that we currently have to grind for, right? And I know you have to unlock it in the future. You might get a better roll. But I have good rolls on fusion rifles now without having to do that, you know? So yes, the collector in me also wants to do that. But the guy that, you know, has been too sick to play Destiny, you know, really adamantly like I used to, is also saying at this point, I'm kind of done for now until I start feeling a little better at least, right? But I couldn't put myself through that grind, especially as somebody that already doesn't really like Crucible. To make it even more difficult for myself, it's just like I don't feel a desire to do so when I have other better options out there, you know? So at that point in time, it only becomes the whole collector in me wanting to get it. And right now, that collector isn't overpowering my exasperation for the aggravation I'd have to go through to obtain it. So
see, I thought week 1 would be the best time to do it. Whereas I've managed to get my Titan up to 700, and I thought, you know, I'll be with a good advantage, you know, potentially only going against somebody that's got an extra little percentage ahead of me. So that was my reasoning for doing it the first week. I've really enjoyed it. Some games I've had 15, you know, proper final blows. Other games I've had 2, 3. But I found going in solo, I managed to get a lot more kills because I would, you know, pick a buddy, follow them round, wait until they started getting attacked, then jump in and hopefully get the final blow. That seemed to work. But when we played as a clan, the 6 of us, it was quite a struggle because we're all out there, all trying to get the kills. all having fun. And don't get me wrong, it was really good fun, but I wasn't getting as many kills as I was when I was solo. And I know Destin Laguirre from IGN's Fireteam chat said that he played solo, and one game he got like 23 kills, and he was finding it pretty easy. But yes, I was enjoying it, but it definitely is a grind. It really is hard because it's 500 kills. It's a hard grind, and I think it'll be worth it at the end. What about you, Parody? What do you think of it?
I mean, I think it's is it a gun I'll use a lot? Maybe, maybe not. I more appreciate just it's something different to do in Iron Banner. I've always enjoyed playing the Iron Banner, and again, running with 6 we did the other day is the most fun I've had since Destiny 1 Iron Banner, where we'd run with 6 and just run over people, because it's just like, we're not that good as a team, but it's just so much fun to be with 5 other people just having fun and laughing your heads off.
It depends on who you have on your team. Like
it.
The rare chances that people me and Odie get on at the same time, or me and somebody else, or Odie and somebody else, when you have some of our top tier players on, it's easy and it's fun, right?
Right. I mean, we definitely go on bigger win streaks when we have folks who play more Crucible. But honestly, even when we would have folks that didn't play any Crucible at all, except for either we could lure them into Iron Banner on, or lure them on during Iron Banner, or again, they were looking for some weapon quest that they had to slum it in Crucible for, because we have some folks that just don't play Crucible, which is fine. But I enjoy both having something to grind for in Iron Banner, because I'm going to play it. Usually every week I play it with at least through the Titans, sometimes with 2 characters. The last Iron Banner I did with all 3 characters to get the triumph for doing all the bounties for all 3 characters in a single Iron Banner. But I just enjoy that it's like the one little playground they have. Again, Crucible Labs, where are you? I enjoy that they're just, they're like, hey, let's take this moment to sort of play with this light level. And again, there's not really anything in the game where your light level matters. I guess in Gambit PvP side and in Iron Banner, but in normal Crucible, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're raiding, or the Forges, if you're super low level, then it's going to hurt you. But there's not really a lot in the game where it really matters what your light level is. So I appreciate them using sort of their one playground where that matters as a way to say, hey, let's play around with this. Let's see what happens. Raise it, lower it. Especially it bringing things up. I almost wish, though, it were the Wolf's Favor that brought your light level up. I wish people could buy that, because I feel like if you're already lower light leveled, you're probably not playing the game enough as it is to not have a bunch of things out there. It would have been nice to say, hey, like a week before Iron Banner drops, hey folks, we put this thing into the world, play the game, get some of these to drop. That way, when Iron Banner comes around, you'll have a stash of these Wolf's Favors up that then you can just use when it starts. Because if I'm already not, if I'm already 500 level, or or even if I'm sitting at 640 because I've used the Drifter's power bounties to get up to 640. Even if I'm there, I then now have to play the game more, and again, hope my RNG holds out and get a random drop to get these Wolf's Favors. I wish that was something they could buy, buy with Glimmer, buy with what Iron Banner tokens, whatever. But I wish you could buy that as well, because it sort of seems like I had 1,500 or so Iron Banner tokens in my vault. I could buy the Iron Burden Cell blue in the face, but I can't go. If I wasn't already playing the game and didn't have a stash of anything, I can't go buy the thing to make me more powerful. And again, and part of it's, we want to reward the people playing the game, because it's how Bungie makes more money and how they play the game. But, it's like, if you've given me this thing that is sort of inaccessible to me as a player who's going to need it most, And I think it's just sort of a weird economy thing where, again, they're trying to balance, we want you to play the game, but also if we're going to give you this perk, then let me have this perk. Because, I'm sure there are a lot of folks on the forums going, hey, I even play a fair amount and I still haven't gotten any of these Wolf's Favors to drop. And I would like to go into Iron Banner against these people at 700 and 680 and 690 and be able to hold my own a little bit, or be able to do better than I might normally do. Because that should also hopefully give them a chance, the higher power drops. Because if you're, I'd be curious to see if the Wolf's Favor, with that power increase, does that also increase the drops you're going to get from the Iron Banner? Would you get something that's significant, a significant light level boost higher for completing those bounties in Iron Banner, because you're 700 or closer to it than where you are now? I don't know, but I'd be curious if that's part of the mechanism as well. So I think it's good. I think it's good as a playground, if nothing else. Again, I'm not excited about the Wizened Rebuke necessarily. I'm excited to play a game type I'm excited to play, and I'm glad they're somewhere in the game they're sort of playing with it, because there's so.
You're glad that there's some sort of experimentation, something.
Right.
Some waters of some kind.
Right. Because I mean, there's so again, they look at the weapons. They say, okay, which two weapons is everybody using? Okay, let's make some adjustments so people use more weapons around. Let's again, here's a couple big content drops a year, but there's not a lot. Like it's mostly a static world we're playing in. It's mostly that strike you ran 6 months ago is going to be the same strike you run today. Yeah, it might be a little bit easier, you might be a little higher level, but there's not a whole lot of change that's being made. So I appreciate them using the Iron Banner as a place to experiment, and I would love to see more of that. Again, Crucible Labs, you had this whole thing where it seemed to be this was going to be your sandbox to test out new stuff, and then we just never saw that come to fruition. So I'd love to see a Strike sandbox or a Raid sandbox or any kind of sandbox, a Gambit sandbox. Put some of this out in the world and say, hey, we think, Halo had the
build your own stage stuff.
Well, Halo had the Forge, but they also had that action sack playlist that was like Griffball and like all just the absurd game types, where like it was actually a playlist you could jump into, and it would give you 5 or 6 or however many different games to play. But they were all, it was things like Griffball, things like you wouldn't normally expect to have a Halo game. I'd love to see some version of that in Destiny, where you can just run in and play keep away, play laser tag, something. Just give me something fun to do that's not so serious, and it can also act as a playground for that.
It's a tool for like, okay, as an example, right? You had the Forge back in Halo, right? What if they just let the communities build their own game types, right? And then the devs would go in, see the most played game types or the most upvoted. Let's say there's like something that lets you upvote something that you like, right? So something that somebody created, right? And then they can make that like a featured thing, and whoever created it gets some kind of reward. I don't really know how to fill in that blank, right? But something that accommodates the people for Bungie, basically stealing their intellectual property. But just something like that, something that makes the game more interactive, and something that Bungie can directly see what the players enjoy doing. I mean, it's just, they can do so much with this game, especially since they've already designed these kinds of things in previous games, right? You've done this. This isn't new to you. Why don't you redo it? Unless there's some kind of a copyright thing with Microsoft that they can't redo that exact same thing, or maybe make a variant of it or something like that. I don't know. I'm not really into that whole legal thing. But I mean, you can do so much with this game, with this world. You could literally just make like a Mario. What do they call that game? Where Mario, you could create your own world, right? Just Mario Maker. Yeah, there you go. So make it like a Mario Maker for Destiny, right? Let us make our own world and learn by what we enjoy, and then make updates or make additions based on that. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying these are ideas, that don't involve nerfing the hell out of something, despite the fact that you said you won't nerf anything anymore, right? Or buffing certain things. Just change things up. Let us decide what we enjoy doing, accommodate it, and you'll have a game that people will play forever. I know some people that still play the original Halo, just because you could do things in there that you can't do since, or as good as you could back then, And it's the thing, if it's not broke, don't fix the type of scenario. Go back to what works. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel when you've already found the wheel that works.
Right. I mean, if nothing else, it would give them another. I mean, God knows we've seen, with the issues with the aim assist on Queensbreaker. It would give you a place you can testing and says, hey, this is a test environment. Things may be hilariously broken. Things may not work. This would give them more playtest data for people out in the real world, because there are going to be folks who are going to find those bugs and those glitches and that weirdness out there when you're playing with it, in the world. Just give them another place to unleash that stuff and say, hey, this may be broken, and if it is, fine, because it's in a sandbox. We expect things not to work perfectly. And if that's the expectation going in, you don't have to get the vitriol of, oh my God, this gun is broken, or this thing didn't work, or I glitched into this area or that area. I mean, again, a perfect place to try out new maps, figure out where people are going to try to glitch into. I saw a tweet this week about one of the Gambit matches there being weird, invisible ceilings for some of the warlocks. It's like, I'm trying to jump around and blink around in this map, but I keep running into invisible walls and then just falling down and getting shot by things. Give you a place to test some of that out, because you can playtest something to death, but until you throw it out there into the larger world, you're never going to find all those bugs and the weirdnesses and the person who says, oh, let's do this in this exact way, and just give you a place to try that stuff out and play with it. Again, Crucible Labs, come back. I would love to see more trial and error with that. Just more, if you have an idea and say, hey, this might be fun, this might be not, throw it out to the community for a week, see how it's received. It will give you a ton of play data on it. And I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, you went from Halo having the Forge and having, I would love to see something like the Forge in the theater. It would make what I'm trying to do a lot easier. I would love to go zone in and say, when someone on my team goes, oh my God, did you see that play? It's like, no, I didn't. I would love to go back and be able to look at it afterwards and say, let me pull that tape and let me see that play. Let me share that moment with you. It's like, unless you made a clip of it or someone else happened to capture it, it's like that moment's gone. I would love to be able to go capture that, and even to fly around like you could in the Forge and move your camera angles around, to say nothing of, that's all the machinima got started with Halo, is they gave them a sandbox to play in. That's just another avenue for Destiny, because people love their characters and love the stories in here. That would give you another avenue to play with that. But we don't have that right now. It's all first person perspective.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things they could do based on this game, their past Destiny game, and their past other games, right? I mean, I don't know why we're trying to, like I already said, reinvent the wheel. Put things in place that the players are going to use, right? And like you said with the sandbox, right? Put it in place, with what you intend to do, and we'll find the stuff that's wrong, and we'll let you know, hey, this is wrong. Before you're like, hey, we got this big update and it's amazing and this and that and the other. And then everybody finds out everything is wrong, or the drops are bugged, or the loot isn't working, or fill in the blank. You know what I mean? It's just like you're saying, it's just let us test it for you. We bought the game. Let us see what you're trying to do and then improve upon it. There's no reason not to.
Again, I'd like to say thank you to the Bookerman on Twitter for his gracious tweet back to us about the enhanced armor. I'd also like to thank Seventh Scar for our topic this week of Vault Space. It's over to you, Parody. Do you want to close the show? Don't have to. I'd like you to.
Are there any horses we still need to beat? Have we beaten all the horses? Because I feel like we've beaten all the horses.
I feel as though the way you phrase that probably be edited out.
He would never edit me. He just edits you.
I can't wait for you to listen.
That's fair. Maybe I should listen to find out exactly how much of this I'm actually contributing.
You're actually not in the show at all.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he just edits out my entire.
We've actually been running this long con with you. We're like, oh, podcast, yeah, absolutely, every week, and I'm like, no, you're actually not. You don't appear in any of it at all. It's all a long con. Not Deep and I have been running on you. Just like when Andy and Frosty come on, they're actually on the show. We just edit them all out so they think they are. And then when it comes out, no, sorry, the audio got mangled. We weren't able to use it. All right. Well, now that we've rambled on enough, thank you for joining us this week. Your Titans, as always, have been Parody and Night Demon. Your Hunter is no one respawns in real life who thankfully didn't test that theory. You can send us an email to twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at twotitans_hunter. As the Bookerman have and some other folks, we enjoy hearing what you have to say. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Pocket Cast, Overcast, all the casts. We're out there in your ears every week. You can join the Frozen Clan if you want to be part of our stack of mediocrity at join.frozen.party. You can join us in the Crucible and Iron Banner. We'll be serving punch all week, and we'll be wizenedly rebuking people come next week. So, hope you've enjoyed what you heard, and keep your eyes open. I'm going to go shove all the tokens into Zavala and see how many service revolvers I get. If you've guessed 0, we'll find out next week if that's correct. Until then, talk to you all later.
Later, purples.
Bye. Why purples?
Why not?
Everyone around him is legendary.
I could put on my sexy voice.